So friends, former New York prosecutor Mark Pomerantz, who investigated some of Donald Trump's New York State crimes, will testify to Jim Jordan's House Judiciary Committee. Who's ready to see Pomerantz verbally tap dance all over Jim Jordan's head? Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, Mark Pomerantz, the prosecutor who investigated some of Donald Trump's New York State crimes when he, Pomerantz, was at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which is now headed up by DA Alvin Bragg, Mark Pomerantz will testify before Congress. Recall that Jim Jordan, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, subpoenaed Pomerantz, yes, Jim Jordan, who himself criminally defied, violated, blew off a congressional subpoena, the very kind of congressional subpoenas Jordan is now issuing. Yeah, it's the death of irony. Jim Jordan subpoenaed Pomerantz to testify about his work on the criminal investigation of Donald Trump. And so Pomerantz ultimately now will testify in May to the Jordan-led committee that really should be renamed. It should be the Congressional Committee to Aid and Abet Donald Trump. Here is the recent New York Times reporting. Headline, Bragg agrees to let ex-prosecutor testify about Trump case in Congress. And that article begins, a former prosecutor who once helped lead an investigation of Donald Trump will testify before Congress next month, ending, for now, a legal dispute between Republican lawmakers and Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan District Attorney, who had sought to block the testimony. The former prosecutor, Mark Pomerantz, is now scheduled to testify under oath to representatives of the House Judiciary Committee in a closed-door deposition on May 12th. Mr. Pomerantz worked for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office for about a year, but resigned more than a year before Mr. Trump was indicted, and wrote a book that described his frustration with Mr. Bragg's approach to the investigation. Representative Jim Jordan, a Republican Ohio, subpoenaed Mr. Pomerantz this month, shortly after Mr. Bragg unveiled charges against Mr. Trump, accusing him of orchestrating the cover-up of a hush money payment made to a porn star in 2016. Mr. Bragg then sued Mr. Jordan, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, accusing him of meddling in the affairs of the district attorney's office once it indicted Mr. Trump. The lawsuit sought to block the questioning of Mr. Pomerantz. After a federal judge declined to halt the interview, both Mr. Bragg and Mr. Pomerantz appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. The appeals court delayed the questioning, which had originally been scheduled for Thursday. During the delay, lawyers for Mr. Bragg and Mr. Jordan negotiated and reached an agreement that was announced on Friday evening. A spokeswoman for the district attorney's office said in a statement that the resolution would allow the office's general counsel, Leslie Dubeck, to be present for the questioning of Mr. Pomerantz. A lawyer for Mr. Pomerantz is also expected to be present, and Mr. Pomerantz may decline to answer questions that he is not authorized to discuss. Congressional Republicans may contest his right to remain silent in future proceedings. Quote, our successful stay of this subpoena blocked the immediate deposition and afforded us the time necessary to coordinate with the House Judiciary Committee on an agreement that protects the district attorney's privileges and interests. We are pleased with this resolution, which ensures any questioning of our former employee, Mark Pomerantz, will take place in the presence of our general counsel on a reasonable, agreed-upon time frame. We are grateful that the Second Circuit's ruling provided us with the opportunity to successfully resolve this dispute. So friends, the resolution of this issue is not a win-win. It's a win-lose. It's a win for District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and it is a loss for Jim Jordan. Why do I say that? Well, let's unpack it. Alvin Bragg managed to negotiate with the House Judiciary Committee to have his general counsel, Leslie Dubeck, present in the room during the deposition, fully able to protect the district attorney's criminal prosecution of Donald Trump and ongoing criminal investigation of some of Donald Trump's other crimes, such that if Pomerantz were inclined to answer a question, but General Counsel Leslie Dubeck decided that the answer could potentially harm the DA's ongoing prosecution or investigations of Donald Trump, then she can shut it down. She can object to it. Now, first of all, I happen to believe that Dubeck and Pomerantz will be lockstep on what questions should be answered and what questions should not be answered. But here's the beauty of it. Once there's an objection to a question, Jim Jordan has exactly zero power to compel a witness to testify, to force a witness to testify. He has to just live with the objection. Unless he later wants to file suit and try to force the issue in court, have a judge order that Jim Jordan is right and the witness is wrong and the witness really should have answered the question. Yeah, Jim Jordan is not going to do that. So Alvin Bragg's investigation and prosecution of Donald Trump, they are completely protected because he'll have his general counsel there participating in the deposition of Mark Pomerantz. Here's the other thing. Mark Pomerantz, before he spent some time working at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office investigating Trump's crimes, he was a federal prosecutor for a long time, handling organized crime cases, prosecuting RICO cases. He prosecuted mob boss John Gotti. He is well equipped to deal with Jim Jordan. Heck, he's had lots of relevant training and experience. And I suspect he will verbally tap dance all over Jim Jordan's head. And friends, here's the other thing. Mark Pomerantz, before he spent some time at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office investigating the crimes of Donald Trump, Pomerantz was a federal prosecutor for a long time, handling organized crime cases, RICO cases. He prosecuted mob boss John Gotti. He's well equipped to handle Jim Jordan. Heck, he's had lots of relevant training and experience, hasn't he? And you know, Pomerantz, based on his book, believes that the evidence proves Donald Trump has committed all kinds of felonies for which he has yet to be held accountable. So the testimony of Mark Pomerantz, not going to go so good for Jim Jordan or for Donald Trump. You know, frankly, this is one time I'm kind of sorry that we're not going to see the Republicans perform in living color. It's going to be behind closed doors, the testimony of Mark Pomerantz. You know, usually I don't want to see the Republicans' fact-free questioning of witnesses. Usually I don't want to see Jim Jordan's, deranged auctioneer performance, talking really fast so he can see how many lies he can pack into his 5 minutes. Yeah, ordinarily I'm not so interested in watching that, but given that I absolutely believe Mark Pomerantz will verbally tap dance all over Jim Jordan's head, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing it this time around. But given that Pomerantz's deposition will not be public, we'll have to wait for, I guess, Jim Jordan's press releases and TV appearances on the Fox Entertainment Network, where he will regale Fox viewers with stories of how he beat up on Mark Pomerantz behind closed doors, which of course will, bear no resemblance to the truth of what happened, very likely, in the Pomerantz deposition. But We will also get accounts from the Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee, and we will get an accurate retelling of what happened in the deposition, what Pomerantz said about the crimes that he investigated, Donald Trump's crimes, the many felony crimes, crimes that he concluded he had sufficient evidence to indict and to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, because as you may have heard, he ended up leaving the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in frustration because the DA wasn't prepared at that time to indict Donald Trump for the crimes Pomerantz had investigated and was prepared to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. We will get an accurate accounting of all of that from the Democrats who sit on Jim Jordan's committee to aid and abet Donald Trump. So we will get a clear, truthful, accurate sense of what Mark Pomerantz testified to. And that's a good thing, because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again soon.